So, just like recently, Riverside Public School did a tree planting activity, the organization Trees for Woolwich is asking us if they can do some tree planting here at Park Manor. And on April the 15th, we are asking for some of you to participate. Now, let's look at some of the more salient details. These little orange cylinders you've probably seen in places like the highway between St. Jacobs and Waterloo, specifically between the roundabout and the bridge. You will have seen these on the side of the road. These are protection barriers that help protect the young trees. Now, there's a few pieces to this, but for now, just keep an eye out as you're driving on any of the back roads or even, as I said, the major highway between St. Jacobs and Waterloo, and look for these. Now, Trees for Woolwich is the organization that is putting these up. They are looking to put 600 trees on our property here. And we'll talk a little bit more about them later, but they need to be protected from being trampled by people or eaten by animals, even some protection from salt and so forth. So, with our help, these seedlings will eventually grow into big, uh, robust trees. The other thing that I just wanted to point out, the cool thing about these cylinders, this material, this plastic, it protects the trees, but it also will let light through so the trees can still do photosynthesis. All right, now, what's the plan? What you're looking at here is an aerial view of our school. Trees for Woolwich has the goal to cover 30% of Woolwich with tree canopy. That will do a lot of things to help us out. It'll help make things cooler in the hot weather. It will help protect against climate change. It'll help cut back wind in the cold weather. There's all sorts of things that we'll talk more about later. But their goal is to put some trees on our property. And so, just to get you your bearings, this building here, that's actually looking at the roof of our school. This is the parking lot where the teachers park. Your bike racks are over here. The volleyball court is right here. When you come out of the school for nutrition break, many of you come out through these doors. And these are the 3 soccer fields out in the back. Now, Trees for Woolwich has a plan to put trees in front of the parking lot, between the parking lot and the sidewalk. And notice how they've done a good job of ensuring that those trees aren't going to get buried by snow when we clear the parking lots. Same with back here. They've got a couple rows of trees, but they're going to be back far enough that the snow that gets pushed out of the parking lot won't damage the trees. The one presenter, sorry, the one member of Trees for Woolwich, Mark, he's an older guy and he's got some kids who played soccer here in Woolwich, and he noticed that. Especially in July and August, when you're out playing soccer on the big fields, it gets super hot and there's nowhere for really getting any shade. And so he had the great idea of putting a row of trees between field number 2 and 3 out here. So that's going to be some of our trees. But those trees only make up, less than 100 of the trees. There will be some more that will go over here by the bike racks. The between the bike racks and the school, as well as just to the left of the pathway heading out to the bike racks. There'll be some trees. Altogether, that's still about 100 trees. The rest of the trees are actually going up along the northern edge of the property that backs onto everybody's backyards there. That's a part of the field that we don't use a ton. It is a great place for us to put in some trees that are mixed between deciduous and coniferous. That means it's a mix between the ones that lose their leaves in the winter and don't. And the microforest will be pretty dense. The trees will be pretty close together. And lots of people have had good questions and said, like, well, wait a minute. don't trees need lots of space? Well, they do, but we do microforests where we have the trees a little closer together than normal for a couple reasons. Number one, some of the trees, unfortunately, will die. So if you have them and they're pretty dense, that's okay because if a couple die out, there's still going to be lots of trees in there. The other thing is because they're long and narrow, even if the trees are close together, the trees will be close to an outer edge where they'll get lots of sunlight. They've left the bike path open so we can continue to bike and walk up to the school. It's a really well designed plan. Some of our trees. One of the species of tree that we hope that they'll have planted there. And again, we don't know exactly which trees they'll be planting, but they definitely have a bunch of what I'm about to show you as some of their key species. And assuming they have enough of each particular species, we will see them in the plantings. This guy here, it's a red maple. They can get really tall. They can get up to 25 meters high. For context, that's like 13 of Mr. Sainers stacked on top of each other, standing on the head. And they get pretty high. In the summer, they're green, but in the fall, they turn this bright, bright red. They have these little clusters of flowers. In the spring, they provide nectar for pollinators. And those maple keys provide food for squirrels. So they're really good for the ecosystem, the local ecosystem. Bur oak. These guys can even get up to 30 meters tall, which is a little taller than the red maples. These guys are a little bit slower growing. It'll take a while to get really big, but that's okay. These are called climax community species. If you remember when we studied about succession, ecological succession, the final end community that remains sort of static or unchanged until there's a big disturbance. It's called the climax community. These guys are examples of climax community species. So they're ones that are really healthy for our ecosystem. And these guys can live like up to 400 years. They're pretty amazing. Food for squirrels, stuff like that. So they are a really great species that will mix in there. They won't all be really tall trees. These guys, the gray dogwoods, they only grow about 3 meters tall. That's about two adults sitting on top of the other. And these guys here will grow pretty quick. They'll get bushy and they will provide lots of nectar for insects and birds. The berries provide food for, again, birds and even some mammals. And the leaves will turn bright red in the fall too, which will make our field and our schoolyard look beautiful. Hackberry, these guys grow pretty quick. They have purple flowers, purple berries, white flowers, and those berries are food for lots of birds and different mammals like squirrels. Sycamore grows fast too, and they get pretty tall. So these are kind of more of an early succession tree, which means that we'll get some shade in a hurry, which is awesome. It's nice to have that mix of fast growing and long growing species. The leaves are beautiful, they get nice and big, and provides, again, food for lots of wildlife. The other species will be some coniferous trees, things like these white spruce. They don't lose their leaves or needles in the winter, which means that they'll provide good habitat even in the winter for things like rabbits and squirrels, different things that sort of are looking for a place to cozy up in. A great place for birds and so forth to nest in the spring as well. Now, what are some of the benefits? I keep talking about feeding the birds and the bees and the animals and the mammals and the other insects and so on. The reality is trees are good habitats for lots of animals, and the diverse numbers of trees means that it will support a diverse number of birds, insects, reptiles, mammals, which is great. That's what we want. That's what a healthy ecosystem has. It has high biodiversity. And if we make a biodiverse forest of trees, we'll get high biodiversity in the animals that live there too. These trees will provide shade. There's some stats that suggest that on very hot days, the hottest days in the summer, trees will actually help reduce the ambient temperature by 5 or even 10 degrees Celsius, which can be a big deal, especially if we're looking at the difference between, say, a day that's 35 degrees Celsius versus 30 degrees Celsius. Not only do the trees provide the shade, but they absorb a bunch of the water, helping with humidity, stuff like that. In the winter, they kind of help in the opposite direction. One of the things that makes the winter feel so cold often is wind. We often refer to the wind chill when we're talking about the temperature in the winter because the wind makes things feel colder. So the trees will provide a windbreak where the wind, as it comes and hits those trees, it will have to either go up or just be turbulent in and around the trees, which causes it to slow down and therefore makes everything feel warmer. So that's another great climate benefit. They provide fruit, nuts that we can eat. If we have the right types of maple, we get other things from trees like maple syrup. There may be some sugar maples in the mix here, but not just us, they feed the animals. Trees are even useful once they have lived out their life. When the trees come down, when the trees die, they can be turned into lumber that we use to build houses and furniture and stuff like that. They can be used for firewood. And anything that's paper is made out of wood. But the trees don't even have to come down or be harvested to get the benefits. Lots of species rely on dead trees as places to live in, so they can provide more habitat. The biggest benefit I see of the trees is as carbon sinks. We've learned at various times about climate change and greenhouse gases. And carbon dioxide, or CO2, is one of the biggest greenhouse gases that we need, as a society, need to worry about. Every adult tree will absorb about 22 kilograms of carbon dioxide every year. So when we multiply that by 600, that's not an insignificant amount. They will help sequester or pull away lots of carbon out of the atmosphere that will help fight climate change. Trees also absorb water, and if we have big rainfalls and so forth, the roots of the trees hold the soil in place so that it's harder for the running water to pull and wash the soil away. But they also pull the water up into the tree. Trees like to have the water up there, and that will help reduce the flooding or runoff. So they help with stormwater too. We've already talked about them pulling carbon dioxide out of the air. They also pull lots of air pollutants out of the air. They suck them in and they absorb them into their wood, their tissues, and they produce oxygen. So not only do they clean out the bad things, now, those are some of the benefits that come from having those trees. But there's more to it. There is the whole idea that we can, as a school, come together as a community and do something good, do something for the good of somebody other than ourselves. Now, you guys are young and you will, I'm sure, continue to live in Elmira, most of you, for a big part of your lives or for at least quite a while, and you'll watch these trees grow. You'll maybe come and sit under the shade of these trees someday, or maybe one day you'll have children who will come to this school and who will eat some of the hackberries off the trees. You may get those benefits, but even if you don't get particular benefits from these trees, just by you taking ownership of your community, by you doing this, you're doing something good for the community. And that's good for you. That makes you happier in the long run, being able to do things for other people. When we go to plant the trees, it's going to be a little bit of a complicated process. We're going to find out how many of you sign up, and then we will try and go through and figure out how we can get different shifts of students. The shifts need to be about an hour long. We will have groups of students come out for an hour. And when you come out for your shift, to begin with, people from Trees for Woolwich will be there, and those people will work with you and teach you how to actually plant the trees. It's more than just make a hole and stick them in the ground. You're going to need to obviously put the roots in the ground. You will need to know what parts go under and what parts shouldn't go under. You will need to put up, if you look beside the orange or the pink cylinder, just to the left of it, there's a white post or a white uh, rod. And that rod is actually pretty rigid and it goes into the ground. You'll have to put that in the ground right beside the tree. You will then put the cylinder around the tree and you will use cable ties and tie them to the rod. Finally, if you look down at the base of the cylinder, there's a what's called a coconut mat. And these are made out of coconut husks that have been sort of broken down and then beaten into a little mat. They're great at absorbing water, uh, keeping the sun from beating too hard on the soil right at the base of the trees so that they don't get dried out. And they also keep weeds from growing up and through too close to the tree and choking it out. So all those things need to be put into place. Also, these trees will need some water right away, and for days and even months afterward. So we will have to take part of all in all those things. But on April 15th, we will have to set these things up with each tree that we do. So when you go out, it'll take you about half an hour to sort of get taught all the different parts, and then you'll get a chance to go and plant some of the trees. Now, um, as I said before, we're not just putting roots in the ground. We're putting our mark on the world. This is our school. It's our community. It's our planet. And it's our turn to look after it. You guys are young, but you're, transitioning between being kids into becoming adults. And one of the things about being an adult is making sure that you can take care of the world around you and do things for others. You won't get the benefits of the shade of these trees. You won't get the windbreaks. You won't get all sorts of things in your time here at Park Manor. But you will get the good feeling of being able to look back and go, I did that. I put that tree in. I helped make this forest a thing. And when you get old like me, you can look back and it will be a forest. And those trees will be full grown. So you have that opportunity. Now comes some of the hard parts. Um, on that day, April 15th, you won't necessarily have a say of who you go out with. We will have to make the schedule based on numbers. And the Trees for Woolwich people are really busy. We can't just wait for the perfect day or the perfect time. We have to go out and we have to plant the trees on April 15th. If it's raining, we go out and we plant the trees. Now, if it's a torrential rainstorm or if there's thunder and lightning, we won't be able to go out. If it's a big snowstorm, we won't be able to go out. But if it's raining, just raining, then yeah, you are expected to go out and you need to be prepared to do that, dressed for that, and so on. Now, if this is something that you would like to volunteer for, you will be invited now to go into Google Classroom. And in Google Classroom, there is a post, and that post has a Google form. That Google form is what you have to fill out. You will start by saying yes or no, that you want to actually do this, you want to volunteer for this. And once you have clicked on that and click on next, it will ask you, it'll prompt you, if you have said yes, it'll prompt you to fill in some information, your name, your home form, stuff like that, and submit that. And once we have all the names, we will go through, figure out how many we have, and we will try and set up a schedule. So thank you all very much for listening. And if you don't want to do this if you don't want to go out to plant trees, then please don't sign up for it. It's not about missing school. It's not about just going outside and goofing around. You are signing up to be part of planting trees. Thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing those of you who come out on Wednesday. Thank you.